Hi, welcome to the Forecasting for Success podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brie. I'm a doctor of psychology, financial educator, astrologer, and founder of Forecasting for Success, a community of people improving their financial literacy to achieve financial independence. I blend my expertise as a former professor and financial intelligence analyst with the tool of astrology to help break down why you are struggling with specific money habits and the best way to form more intentional responses and choices when it comes to money, especially to help you feel more secure in your financial decisions and improve your money skills for building long-term wealth. Hello, welcome back to the Forecasting for Success podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm speaking with spiritual life coach and tarot reader Kerry, who shares her personal journey and passion of helping clients specific to her area of expertise that focuses on inner child and inner teen healing. I encourage you to share this episode with others who can also benefit from what Kerry shares with you today. Let's get started. So, hello and welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. So today we have with us Kerry, and she is a tarot reader and a spiritual life coach who actually has a very niche area of expertise. So if you don't mind, would you please introduce yourself and let us know the expertise that you have?
Yeah, of course. So, as I was mentioned, my name's Carrie. I'm a spiritual life coach and a tarot reader. And my niche topic, everything's niche nowadays,
Yes.
is inner child and inner teen healing. So, basically, I think it's a buzzword right now, inner child healing, but I also noticed that inner teen healing is not as big as a buzzword, but either way, I combine the two. Many people tend to put the two under one term, which is fine. I like to differentiate them because I truly think that there is a difference between inner child and inner teen healing.
Mhm.
So, my goal, my purpose as a tarot reader, as a spiritual life coach, if you work with me, is to really get back to that inner child, to that inner teen, and heal and work on any wounds that may be blocking you from connecting with that version of yourself. Because I think and have seen that it's through these versions of ourselves where we can find our authentic and sometimes best selves.
Yeah, absolutely.
hmm
How long have you been a tarot reader? What caused you to be interested in that type of genre and also your pathway into helping people heal in this way?
So I think I've been reading tarot now for 4 or 5 years. It's around the time of the pandemic, so 2020.
Mhm.
Around that time, so about 5 years now. But halfway through the journey, I originally was just reading tarot for myself and maybe like a friend who wanted a reading. Nothing too high stakes, but at some point, I want to say like at the 2.5 mark of my tarot reading journey, I really thought about how I could use tarot. Tarot is like really helping me in my journey. I used it a lot for shadow work, inner work, and just something called to me that maybe other people could use tarot for
Mhm.
shadow work and inner work. At the time, a lot of my algorithm was love readings and find like your twin flame or the occasional like how like money and finance, and I think that's all great in its own aspect, but I wasn't seeing how to get your how to get it together, how to get life together, how to, you know, work through insecurities or how to be honest with yourself. I wasn't seeing that. And I decided I'm going to take that course. I'm going to be that person that I wasn't truly seeing. And at first, I started off with different 3 card spreads and just like getting my foot through the door. I think now my business Inside Elevated is at its 2 year mark, right? So I started it it's been very slow but go like growing. And I just really want to help people find themselves, work on themselves, be their authentic selves. And tarot has been such a wonderful tool for that, for myself and for others.
Yeah, absolutely. That is really important work that you're doing because it's really important to be aligned with yourself internally and where you're going externally. So it's always possible that there's some unconscious blockages that are there. So people might misunderstand why they're struggling to move ahead. They might misunderstand or not truly understand all the little blockages that might be in the way of their goals and where they see themselves. So it's excellent that you're doing the important work in this area to help people be aligned with themselves to evolve, to achieve their goals. And you're right
Yeah.
that it's difficult in the beginning. It is usually slow. So I do wish you luck and wish you the best on growing your business and for more people to find you and your expertise for help. That's really important help that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Whenever it comes to your tarot spreads that you mentioned whenever you help clients, are there any themes or unique messages that come up whenever you pull the cards or see the cards? Perhaps there are certain themes around these types of inner child healing that people might need, whether it does or does not relate to money trauma or things in this area. But perhaps there's something that you've seen lately that you could share that would be helpful.
Yeah, lately I've seen in my last few spreads with clients, I've seen a lot of lack of self-care. So the card specifically that has come up the most is like the Ace of Cups in reverse. And it's just
Mhm.
like that came up once in like multiple spreads for like three different clients. And I was like, are we okay? Are we good? Are we like, the Ace of Cups, it deals with emotions, it deals with, how we feel, what we're going through, and it being the first cup is really just about you at the end of the day and how you're treating yourself.
Mhm.
And this was coming up so often in reverse, and I really had to sit back and I asked some of my clients, I was like, this keeps coming up. Are we good? And many of them are like, Not really. Like, I'm not taking care of
Mm,
myself. I'm stressed out about something, whether it be work, school, family life." And, so that's just one part of the spread.
mm,
Obviously, my spreads, we like tackle the issue and then we also try to find a solution.
yeah.
But nonstop, it was the Ace of Cups. So everyone's spread is different, but a lot of it was we need to make time for self-care. We need to make time for ourselves at the end of the day. That was the main message for these clients. And everyone had a different reason why they were not taking care of themselves. Honestly, I think we're in a day and age where self-care is an afterthought, which is
Mm,
also funny because it's also pushed a lot on algorithms of like, this is self-care, doing spa days, doing me time. But I think what tends to happen is people are on the go. People are doing whatever they're doing, whether it's work, taking care of a family, or, some of them are in school. And it's putting that before yourself.
mm,
But we can't go towards our goals if we're not okay
mhm,
because it's gonna be haphazard. We're not gonna actually put in 100% if we're not okay. And for some people, that could be just a trauma response of just like, I'm working, I'm working, I'm working. I don't want to think. I don't want to stop and think. But with the Ace of Cups coming up so many times, it's like, well, you need to stop and think. You need to stop and think how you can help yourselves in every aspect, right? Whether it is spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, we have to stop and really think, how can we help ourselves? And I've seen that the most. I haven't seen it lately, so I'm like, okay, maybe it depends on the client, right? If they're coming for me for inner child, inner teen, I also have spreads on like general life improvement. And so it really depends, but that was a card and a theme I was seeing often with clients.
Yeah, the Ace of Cups usually speaks to our emotions. And so I can understand how this would definitely be speaking to people getting their thoughts clear, like a clarity of the mind, in order to admit that the systems that we currently have in place are very challenging. It's very challenging to have to live at this time of capitalism and have all these systems that are often actively working against most of us. So it's really unfortunate that we have, like you said, these algorithms that are putting it right in our faces of saying, oh, you should take more care of yourselves. We recognize that people don't have the time or the energy left to take care of themselves. So here's a reminder. But at the same time, we don't have, often, many of us, we don't have the capacity just due to the limitations of having to work, two or more jobs, or our time and energy is drained from taking care of others. And so it's definitely understandable that most people really do have a hard time trying to carve out moments each day to make sure that they're taken care of across all the spectrums, whether it's our mental health, our emotional health, or even our physical health. So it makes sense why this would be a very common card that you would see come up for many of your clients. So it's appreciated that we have these reminders, whether it's the tarot or an algorithm, but it speaks to us needing to work towards better systems, better ways of building community and trying to help each other and lighten each other's load so that we are all better taken care of because sometimes we just can't do it on our own. It's important to try to build those communities and those touch points and outreach whenever you need it, because often it can coincide with a reminder to ask for help too, if it's possible to ask for help.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Were there any other cards that you wanted to mention for this part of the conversation?
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about the Four of Pentacles, which I have seen often.
Mm.
And it usually depends on the placement of what the spread is. So sometimes I do a general spread of like, okay, what are we struggling with? And like, again, a solution based to the struggle. So for some clients, I've seen the Four of Pentacles come up in the struggle part, right? And when we think of the Four of Pentacles, it's earth energy. It is usually with money, it is usually finance. And the image itself, if we're going off the Rider-Waite tarot deck, is this person like that's holding on to the pentacles. And usually that is, scarcity. That's fear. That's hoarding, struggling, maybe, or perceived struggle. Sometimes it's like, I need to hold on to my money, but really it's like there's some ease. You don't have to like penny pinch and hoard, right? That depends on who the client is, but that's usually if it comes up in the struggle like department. We're just kind of scared of money or scared of what it does or this desire to have it, but then it's like, ooh, like I have all this money now. Like, what do? I like keep it close to me. If it's in the solutions like section of the spread, I usually see that in clients who are trying to heal their relationship with money. They're making strives and they're doing something. They're reading the books, they're listening to the podcast, they're trying, right? But it's still a lot of fear either way when you look at it. And I've seen that come up too. And I feel like it's a good point to go back to what you said about, we're living in this capitalistic society and people have to work two, three jobs. A lot of people, if we're working a job, we're also the side hustle, trying to, for some people, just survive, just to
Mhm.
pay their bills. So this is not even like, this is not like cash that is for fun or anything. This is like cash that is like, this needs to go to this bill, this needs to go to this bill, this needs to go to my rent.
Mhm.
And the Four of Pentacles is that fear aspect. So at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are struggling, right? And
Hmm.
when we look at, different card spreads and different just society, it's like, okay, obviously these are general themes of what's happening. Like you're afraid, you're scared, you're not putting yourself first. And what do you do, right? When you're dealing with that? How do you get past the fear? How do you get past not taking care of yourself, not putting yourself first? Is it possible, especially when we're working these two or three jobs? My hope as a coach is to work with individuals to find these solutions, right? I maybe it's optimism, but I like to believe there is something better on the other side of all this, right? And sometimes we just need to be reminded of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I also see it with a lot of my clients. Whenever I'm helping people with their financial literacy for their financial education piece, it's very common to work with some clients and they start learning the foundational elements of what it means to manage your own money. And it's a realization whenever they get into a better understanding of budgeting, for example, because you can't budget your way out of not having enough money for just your bare essential needs. And so that's when things like tarot and astrology can come in because some people may not realize that they potentially, again, it does depend on the client, they could potentially be holding themselves back from a mental standpoint. It's like a catch 22. If you are working two or three jobs just to make ends meet, you don't really have the mental capacity, the mental space, or just the energy in general to try to think about and apply yourself towards better opportunities. And so this is where the really important work, in my opinion, of astrology and tarot can come in to try to help people open up their mind to other possibilities, to where they can better understand why do I have this mental block? Why do I feel like I don't deserve or I'm unable to earn more money or enter a new line of work, et cetera? The questions like this. And so I love the work that you're doing as well because it can really help people see their situation and as well as see their opportunities in a new light, in a new way. And hopefully, with the work that people like yourself and I are doing, it can open up the client to better ways of being and a better day-to-day life that they can have that helps them not only personally, but also with other things like finances as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you have any other cards that you wanted to go over, or do you feel like we covered that section well?
I think I could talk about one more card. I was looking at like old spreads. So one other card I would talk about is the Five of Swords. I've seen
Mm.
that a few times with a few clients, and Five of Swords is air energy and usually represents mental communication, capacity. And it's interesting, we were just talking about like the mental capacity. We can't move forward if we don't even have the capacity. And usually, when the Five of Swords comes up, it's usually this inability to, I guess, really move forward, at least with my clients, and it's usually due to some type of pride, some type of ego. It's come up in this idea of like, and I think it all ties together. It's this, I can't take care of myself. I'm kind of struggling with my finances, but I also don't want to admit to any of this. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be honest. I don't even want to think about it. All right, it all ties together. And, this is going across different people, different ages, even different genders. And these are repeated themes. And I had to always go back because at the end of the day, I'm going to look at it at the lens of inner child healing or inner teen healing. And it's where did we learn this, right? We're struggling now as adults, right? This is, I guess, the theme. Like, we have a wound, we have a struggle, we have an issue, especially if you're going to a coach, if you're going to a tarot reader or therapist, anything like that. We have this issue, we have this wound, we're trying to solve it. We kind of get an idea of what's going on, but if we can't face it, right? If we can't even put a thought, a word out of like, okay, I am struggling. with X, Y, and Z. I am constantly thinking about X, Y, and Z. If we can't even admit it to ourselves, like we're going to keep running in this rat race of I'm not taking care of myself. I'm struggling. I'm scared. I'm this. And I think it has to start somewhere where we're being honest without the ego, without this pride, because a lot of that ego's pri and pride is coming up because of shame, because we're afraid to admit, like, hey, I am struggling. I am afraid. I am burnt out and exhausted. And I think people really need to allow themselves to let some of that shame go, right?
Mhm.
Let some of that pride go. You know, 9 times out of 10, you weren't taught any of this.
Mhm.
You weren't taught how to adult.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm in the United States, and every state is different, but like school curriculums and outlines and plans for the future, every state's different.
Mhm.
You kind of see, you have a general outline of how life goes. You go to school, by high school, which is such a big thing for teenagers, and why I love the inner teen healing because it's like at high school age, 16, 17, 18, in the US, you're like having to decide what you're doing for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
which is so stressful.
Very much.
I don't think we talk about it enough.
No. Or how
And
normal it is to transition.
yeah,
You don't literally have to pick one thing forever.
yeah, but then there's this pressure, right?
Mhm.
And you're in life then. Like, here I am, and I'm an adult. Legally, I'm an adult.
Mhm.
But it never really feels like that. And then that shame and then that pride, it just comes up. And I think it's one part that just has to be let go or, healed. Because again, maybe I'm being the optimist, but I think we can find a better way, a better path, a better option. But there's so many factors until we get there,
Mhm.
right? And I can acknowledge that this is a journey, not a race. But, when the Five of Swords comes up, I'm like, okay, why are we like this? Why are we so in a egotistical stance of just like, oh, well, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to address this. I can't address this, right? And it only harms us. It doesn't help us.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's such an important point that you bring up. It's unfortunate that there's a lot of propaganda and misinformation out there to where a lot of people are taught to internalize issues like this when it's not actually innate to who a person is or how we should be as people. So, using the example of money to specifically address what you're talking about, money is not natural. That's not an innate human quality. And so, unfortunately, people feel a lot of shame as you're mentioning, if they don't quite know how to manage money or handle money, but they shouldn't. That should not be any type of shame or judgment associated with that. To your point, we're not taught this. We're not taught this in school. There's a big information gap and educational gap whenever it comes to something like money, for example. It's a tool and it's absolutely a skill that anyone can learn. And I love the work that you're doing because you're helping people open up to this idea of let's talk about it. Let's get it outside of ourselves. Let's name it and let's remove any ego or shame associated to things like this. Of course, there are lots of other topics where this applies too. And hopefully, people are understanding that there are a lot of barriers out there that are purposely holding a lot of people back. And so, the more we help each other and the more that we talk about these things, the more efficient we can be at moving forward and not getting stuck in this cycle of feeling shame and hiding this and feeling like there's not help out there because there absolutely is, just as there are better ways that we could be doing things, better systems that we could be helping each other build and put into place so that we no longer struggle. And hopefully, people that come after us don't have to struggle in these same ways as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Thank you so much for sharing those cards. Those are excellent examples of what you're talking about and how you're helping people with their inner child or inner teen healing, and how it really starts to connect from the beginning, from the point of someone trying to get themselves situated and stood up out in the world. Are there any other examples or things that you would like to mention specific to this topic?
I don't think I have another card. I think those are like the three cards I've seen the most. But I will say, I guess a general theme in healing or being in a healing space. Again, it goes back to that shame and that pride and also just not knowing where to start.
Mhm.
I think the great thing about the internet is like there's so many resources, but it's finding the exact resource that is going to help you. And it could be overwhelming, right? If I do a simple Google search of like how to, I don't know, budget, you're going to find so many things. And I think one idea, and it ties it all together, is just like, taking your time, right? If you're on this path of just like, okay, I want to improve my life, whatever that means, right? That means different things for different people. I want to improve my life. Where do I start? You know, I'm a big advocate of like journal prompts and just like starting with yourself, like being honest with yourself of just like, okay, admitting this, right? Again, I'm struggling. I'm, you know, filled with shame. I'm like scared. How do I want to help myself? Right? How do I want to stop feeling these things? And I'm also, very spiritual, so it's very much like whoever you believe in, I think they're gonna guide you, right? I think if you believe in a higher power or, whatever you believe in, I think you'll be guided, even if it's you're just like your inner power. I think you know your answers. It's just you're waiting to hear them, right?
Mhm.
And it's, looking for the resources, not getting too overwhelmed when you find so many, and, taking it from there, taking it a step at a time. It doesn't have to be solved, and it's probably not going to be solved within the next few days, but taking your time to even just go on the path to, improve your life, whatever that means for you. Whether it is, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, just taking that step. When people come to see me, that is sometimes the first step, taking a tarot reading. I don't know if this is going to help, but we'll see. Or booking, a coaching call or downloading like a freebie of whatever you have to offer as a professional and just helping that person just like have their first step. And I think just that first step is going to take us many places.
That's an excellent point that you make. It's important for people to remember it's not something that changes overnight, but it is a really big deal to get started. Do you have any recommendations, just in general, as a spiritual coach or even as a tarot reader, for how to get people started on their journey, for how to get people started on this path to healing? So, whether that's tips or recommendations that you use as a coach, or even perhaps cards that you see come up frequently for clients in order to start them on this path.
Mm. So I already mentioned it, but I'm a big advocate of journal prompts. Like when I did tarot for myself, I also like would like just find journal prompts online to help with my journey. Like I'll be honest, and because we're also talking about money, right? Like
Mhm.
obviously, professionals have businesses. We're trying to make money as well.
Yes.
But some people, whether it be just a circumstance, budgeting, whatever it is, sometimes people can't afford that coach or that session in the moment. There's no shame in that. Like, you want to start somewhere and you find the coach, you find the person, and it's like, oh, I really want to work with them. They're great. It's not in my budget right now. It's not like feasible right now. I will say, take your time, plan it out, budget it out when you have the time, when you have the resources. Again, I think when there's a desire to change, like you're gonna put your all into figuring how to work with this person. But if we're starting like bare bones, there's free books and journal prompts and podcasts.
Yes.
And, starting there, free resources, right? Think about your topic, and this could be so like widely ranged. That's why I'm making it very generalized because, again, people come to you for financial advice, right? People come to me for inner child healing, inner teen healing, to heal, to
Mhm.
to become this, authentic version of themselves. That's my goal, right? When they hear me, that's the goal. And depending on whose journey, where they want to go, starting just, yeah, with the book, starting with finding the resources online. If the professional offers freebies, taking that and just starting it and keeping yourself accountable, which is the hard part, right? I could get this free download guide from this person, but am I doing the work inside it? Am I showing up every day to do the work inside it? Or I got this book from the library about energy healing or, financial budgeting. Did I read it? Did I do the exercises inside it? Right? We have so many resources in this world. We really do. And it can be overwhelming. But once you have the resource, you have to be honest with yourself to just do the work,
Mhm.
right? And that's a habit thing, right? Set a timer, 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna read this book. Okay, it has an exercise. Can I do the exercise? I'm gonna attempt to do this exercise this week and just go from there. I think the biggest thing is being accountable with yourself. You want this change and you don't have the money or you don't like have whatever the reason being where you can't work with a professional at this moment. Find the resources that are available to you and be accountable. Just read the book, do the exercises, do the journal prompts. And I truly believe there is this free-flowing movement of like, okay, I'm doing the thing, right? And once we do the thing, and if we're being honest with the thing, that's another thing too. Like, we're not just doing it half-heartedly. We're like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this exercise. I'm writing it out. I'm being honest. I'm crying. I'm like having a tantrum because I'm like finding out all these things about myself. You're going to find a path to where you want to be, right? Whether that's healing, financial, like whatever it is, you're going to continue on your path once you start the work, even at the lowest term of like, I'm just reading a book, right? There's so many books out there that can radically change your life. There's a journal prompt like you probably write one day and it's like, oh, I didn't know this was inside me. It's just starting somewhere and then being honest with yourself and keep going, basically. Just keep doing the work.
That's an excellent point. It's to first hold yourself accountable and just do something little. Because you're right, there's so many experts out there who have amazing free resources. And that's the point. That's the point of having free resources out there is because everyone's at a different starting point, and people who are passionate about helping others and they're passionate about their areas of expertise want to make sure that regardless of where someone's starting from, there is something out there that can help them. And myself included, I have different free resources and different ways that people are able to work with me because I'm just so passionate about having people begin their education to get people help because I wish I had had access to that when I was younger. Because again, the sooner we know, the sooner we can do better. Do you happen to have anything that people are able to access at this time that could get them started?
I am in the works of creating a free ebook. The hope is to have it out by the end of the summer. But I've noticed like when people come to me, they're like, oh, I don't know where to start. Like, what is inner child healing? Like, truly, like, again, it's a buzzword. And when you see it on social media and your algorithm, it's usually something fun. And I'm not knocking that, like that is a part of inner child healing. But sometimes the reels, the TikToks, they're not really showing the other side of inner child healing. And so I am in the works of creating an ebook that is going to help whoever download it. It's going to be free. Of just like, okay, where do I start? Right? So that is coming soon. Again, hopefully by the end of summer. I have other projects, but it's something I'm very excited working on because I really, again, what you said, like I really want people to have that education to start somewhere, right? To start the process somewhere. And it's funny, I did write this in the book. I've been like actively working on it. It's like
Mhm.
start somewhere. I literally have that. Start somewhere and who knows where you'll find yourself. Like the next step might be, yeah, you put in the money to work with someone professionally. The next step might be, you know, changing your whole routine. Who knows what you'll discover when you just start the first step of just like, okay, I'm here. Let me work with this free resource. So that is coming soon for me.
That's fantastic. That'll be really helpful because you're right. If people have not been introduced to this area of expertise before, that'll be a fantastic starting point to get them going and seeing what else you have that's helpful to them in order to help them along this pathway. So that'll be amazing to share with your audience and to begin helping people in this area.
Yeah,
Do
of course.
you?
And I will, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say I also do my best to put, the resources I can on my social media. Sometimes I do different topics related to inner child healing, and then I'll go into what that means, what it is, what it might look like. Very simple. You do get the education, no part from reels and, the infographics and things like that. So I would also say that is a resource, right? When you follow the person, you see what they're posting about, you see what they're talking about.
100%, absolutely. Because that's something consistently that yourself and other entrepreneurs are putting out there all the time consistently. And you're right, that takes time and effort on your part on building these for people to access, to share your expertise and to help people. And any type of social media content is also a free resource for people in order to follow along and do better over time, like you're pointing out. Do you have any other words of wisdom for us today? Anything that you find helpful or applicable to this area that can help others get started or have a deeper understanding of this area of expertise?
Mm, I feel like a broken record, but I'm just gonna say, like just to really hone it in there, like just start somewhere, right? I mean, like for me, when I started, I didn't even think I was gonna start with tarot. I was like, oh, what is tarot? And I just started from there. And I got the books, right? I got them from my local library. I started journaling. Like the books had journal prompts that helped people. And I just went from there. And I think if I could just hone that in, start somewhere, right? Anyone who listens to the podcast, they're already starting somewhere. And when it comes to, I guess, my niche, my little expertise, inner child healing, inner teen healing, it ranges per person. Every person has a different story, different layer, different childhood, teenhood. So when it really comes to that, I'm gonna say the best thing you can do for that if you want to start in that like niche is to go back to the Ace of Cups. How are we taking care of ourselves? Right? Let's start there. Are we taking care of ourselves? Are we being kind to ourselves? Are we being gentle to ourselves? And you'll get your answer. You might not like your answer. And it's moving from there. All right. Am I taking care of myself? I'm not. Okay. How do we change that? Can I change that? Can I change that in the smallest way possible? I think a lot of people focus on the big things, like, oh, I need to lose weight, or I need to like get rid of this thing, or start small. Like, can I get like extra 30 minutes of sleep? Can I make myself a breakfast for once instead of like skipping meals? It really. starts somewhere. And it has to start with you taking that step and just slowly going. Even if it's a baby step, just take the step.
Absolutely. And since we're in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment and it's beginning to be summer, I think one thing people can do right now is remember to drink water. Hopefully, everyone's drinking enough water and staying hydrated. I know that that's a struggle for a lot of people, myself included, which is quite ironic. Step one of being a human is to drink your water. So,
Yeah,
if anyone needs a place to start, hopefully they can start there and stay hydrated.
we're like living plants. We need the water.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise. I've really appreciated our conversation today and enjoyed our conversation today. Where can people find you online if they would like to start working with you?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. I'm all on all socials except YouTube right now, but Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Threads, it's all at Insight Elevated. My website is insightelevated.net. And yeah, you can find me there. I'm posting, I'm active, I'm doing my best. Because that's the best I can do. And I'm showing up and I'm trying to connect, network. If anyone's interested, I do have availabilities for tarot readings and coaching consultation. So that is available. And like I said, the freebie is coming soon. So if people want to jump on my newsletter, like sign up through my website, that's coming soon.
That's fantastic. And that's a really good point because as soon as it's ready, if they're on your newsletter, then they'll know when to grab it.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is great.
I want to thank you so much for joining me this week on Forecasting for Success and let you know that you can read the transcript for each podcast episode on my website, which is linked below in the show notes. I've also included the link to send me your money questions if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast at forecastingforsuccess.com/podcast. And if you're ready to get started on improving your financial literacy and developing your own personalized money plan, I encourage you to join my Forecasting for Success community, where I teach you everything you need to know about budgeting, how to choose your retirement number, how to invest in the stock market, and so much more. I go live in the community each month to check in on your progress and help answer any questions you may have. And it's a supportive community where you can also check in with other members and learn from their experiences as well. I hope you take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you next week.